Hi, this is Frank Warren. You're watching Lights Out.
This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out, proudly sponsored by Spartans Law. We're here at the O2 Arena for the press conference launch of Zach Parker versus John Ryder, and I'm delighted to be joined by BT Sports' very own Mr. Dev Sahni. Dev, good afternoon, mate. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. It sounds like you got a sponsor, hey?
I have.
How'd you manage that? And who are they?
Spartans Law, local law firm from the town of Luton, where I'm from. I know the guy quite personally. When he was looking for a sponsor, he reached out and kindly jumped on board with us.
So is it going to be like on the interview, like?
Yes, it is. I hope so.
It'll be there somewhere. But yeah, it should be on there. But shout out Spartans Law. Good to see you, mate. You all right?
Likewise, yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Look, it'll be a good show. This two of the best super middleweights in the world. A notable title on the line. This WBO interim title is an important title because it either makes you mandatory for Canelo, or well, it will make you mandatory for Canelo, and it's up to Canelo what happens next. Does he want to fight the winner of Zach Parker against John Ryder? Does he want to do his UK debut, or does he want to take them out there, or does he want to vacate and explore other opportunities? And if he does that, the winner of this will become the world champion.
Let's talk a bit about this main event we've got here for the WBO interim world title between Zach and John. Now, originally, we all know Zach Parker was scheduled to face Demetrius Andrade, but that fight's fallen through due to an injury to Demetrius Andrade. So it is John Ryder, a very, very credible opponent who's fought the likes of Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders. He has been in big fights. He's just coming back off the win against Daniel Jacobs. It's a tough fight for Zach. Would you say that this fight is more tough than the Andrade fight?
No, I wouldn't say it's tougher than the Andrade fight. Even though Andrade was smaller and coming up from middleweight to super middleweight, he's still like a standout elite talent in world boxing. He showed that. He was already a two-weight world champion. He would have started favourite against Parker. Ryder might start favourite against Parker because of who he's boxed and his experience and years in the game and how he should have beaten Callum Smith that night and been an undisputed champion. But I would still say Andrade would have been the harder fight. Zach Parker would have had to go looking for him. Andrade is a tricky southpaw who moves, he's slick, he's a horrible fight for anyone. And John Ryder, Zach Parker won't have to go looking for him.
Yeah, we saw Andrade, his performance going back to the Liam Williams fight when Liam was working with Queensbury. We saw just how awkward he could be, and that style of his is very tricky, and it might have proven on the night to have been very tough to deal with for Zach, but it's a different opponent. What type of a fight do you expect on Fight Night? What type of a sort of tactical game plan do you think John Ryder brings to this fight?
I think John Ryder, look, they call him the gorilla. He's gonna go head on into Zach Parker, and that will play into Zach Parker's hands. Zach Parker is a much more talented fighter than he's probably got credit for, than he's probably had the opportunity to show so far in his career. He's a switch hitter. He hits hard. He can do a bit of everything. And what sort of fight is it going to be? I think it's going to be a really, really entertaining fight. I think you've got John Ryder sticking it on Zach Parker, and Zach Parker looking for and probably finding the right shots.
Let's talk a bit about the rest of the card. We know that Hamza Shiraz will feature on the card, P.S. O'Leary as well. Sonny listed Ali. There are some big names featuring on this card. Hamza Shiraz, there's a lot of talk about a potential fight with Denzel Bentley, but we know Denzel is scheduled for a world title shot. So it's a different opponent for Hamza. What does the next sort of 6 to 18 months hold for Hamza? Who are the type of names you want to see him in there? Can we expect a big clash between him and Denzel if Denzel could bring the world title back to the UK in a couple of weeks?
I think absolutely. I mean, he will be keeping a keen eye on what happens in that Denzel Bentley-Janibek fight. He has sparred with Janibek before in America as well. He knows him well. He understands his strengths. He understands his weaknesses as well. He will keep a keen eye on that. I would imagine he will probably want that fight at some point. If Denzel Bentley wins, Hamza Shiraz, I'd imagine, would be all over that fight. And Frank will be all over that fight. And you could probably do it here. And that's a big fight, and it's simmering away now, and it could even be there, probably will be there if Denzel Bentley loses as well. It's just a big fight between two absolute studs in the UK in the middleweight division.
Moving on, we just talk a bit about the fight that we'll talk about last week's press conference between Fury and Chisora, the fight that's been announced December the 3rd at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A lot of negativity surrounding the fight because of the previous fights they've had in the past. A lot of people would have preferred to have seen Tyson Fury in with Anthony Joshua, or that undisputed clash with Alexander Usyk. Before we talk about the Fury-Chisora fight, why did the fight with Anthony Joshua fall through? I mean, what do you reckon was the main stumbling block? And do you believe at any point Anthony Joshua did not want that fight?
I wasn't close to the negotiations, so I can't really speak on what happened. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and I don't really know why. I don't think it was anything on this side. I feel as though everyone wanted it over here. I can't imagine Anthony Joshua wouldn't have wanted it. You know, it's a great opportunity to suddenly become the number one in the division. So I don't know why it fell apart. Maybe everyone just sort of ran out of time. But that's who Tyson Fury wanted Usyk, right? He wanted Usyk for December, and Usyk said he's not ready. He's not available until the first part of next year. So with that in mind, we tried to get Anthony Joshua, and that couldn't be made. So then you're looking down the list at who can we fight that people know, and we've got a stadium to sell out. Who can we stick in there against Tyson Fury that will have some intrigue and that people know who both fighters are? And you land on Derek Chisora, who is coming off a career best win, and after he beat Pulev, his promoter was saying he could beat Deontay Wilder. So there was a lot of noise, a lot of hype around Derek Chisora. And now he gets a second shot at the WBC World Heavyweight title in his career. Let's see.
It's a different Chisora because since he's gone from Del Boy to War, he's been... Yeah, exactly. And he's going to bring... I personally think he's going to bring the fire. I do think it definitely is probably his last chance in terms of winning a world title. Potentially could be his last fight in his boxing career. What is different about this fight rather than the first two? Tyson's changed his ways. Derek's changed his ways. I mean, is this going to be... Are we sort of saving the best till last? Do you expect this one to be the fight that just becomes an all-out explosive war at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
Look, it may well be. They are both different fighters. It's Dennis McCann with the middle finger. They're both different fighters to what they were. Derek Chisora, as you say, is War now. He's War Chisora. He doesn't give an F. That's how he goes in there. And Tyson Fury, the manner in which he beat Derek Chisora in the past, I haven't seen him box like that in a while. That kind of, fleet of foot, keeping away and just sort of outboxing, picking someone off. He seems to more just like run through his opponents now. So if he's trying to run through Derek Chisora, that plays right into Derek Chisora's hands, because Chisora ain't going to be... Tyson's not going to have to go looking for him, and vice versa. So, as you say, look, may well be the best fight of the lot. Could be the most entertaining. The second one wasn't particularly entertaining, was it? I think this one could be a lot more entertaining.
Dev, obviously life's changed massively for you now. You play a huge part in BT Sports boxing. I've got to ask you, given Chisora's antics and shenanigans in the past of what he's, done at press conferences, was there a part of you that was sort of thinking this guy could switch at any minute during that presser? Absolutely. You just don't know with Derek Chisora, and there'll be another presser in fight week, I'm sure, and you could get a completely different Derek Chisora. You're sort of always on edge around him, and I was sat right next to him, and there was a moment where he was saying something about Frank, and I said, well, look, obviously Frank's delivering you your second world title fight here. He was like, all right, mate, we know who's paying you. So I was like, oh, yeah. So he put me right back in my box there, which I'm sure he'll be doing plenty more of, but he's an unpredictable and really an iconic character in British boxing. He has become a bit of a British boxing legend. You think of the scarf that he puts on, and he's been around, sort of gone over two different eras now. He was around for the Klitschko era. He fought Vitaly Klitschko, gave him his hardest fight since Lennox Lewis, and now he's boxed Tyson Fury, that old version of Tyson Fury. He's boxing an older version of Tyson Fury. He's been in with sort of everyone, and I never know what I'm going to get with him. We saw a career best performance from Joyce against Joseph Parker. a lot of people have said that the next fight for Joe should be Alexander Usyk. I saw an interview of Alexander last night saying that he's more or less not interested in that fight. The only fight he wants is for belts, and the last remaining belt is held by Tyson Fury. Now, listen, I mean, anything can happen next year in this heavyweight division. You just don't know. I mean, Tyson's not ruled out a 4-fight with Deontay Wilder. But given where Joe is right now, do you think that is the next fight for Joe with Alexander Usyk? And how confident are you that Joe is the man to beat Usyk, and then we could perhaps get an all-British undisputed clash between Joe and Tyson?
I think there's two things there. So the collective aim is Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk in the first part of next year for all the belts. So if for whatever reason that can't be made, and I think it will be made, if for whatever reason that can't be made, you've got Joe Joyce there, who could fight either guy. Tyson Fury told me the other day he'd be happy to fight Joe Joyce. What a fight that is. And you ask, is Joe Joyce the man to beat Alexander Usyk? I think Tyson Fury is going to get there first, but I would back Joe Joyce to beat Alexander Usyk. People read too much into the 5-0 WSB fight that they had 10 years ago. I think if you're going to start looking into amateur fights with fewer rounds and bigger gloves, then why can't Sean Porter, who beat Usyk in the amateurs, beat him now? Because they've changed. And Joe Joyce has changed considerably. He's a monster now. He's an absolute tank. He knows exactly who he is. That Joe Joyce was, I mean, he was just sort of, he got pinged, really, for 10 years ago. And he may well get pinged for 5 rounds here. But round 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, when you've got Joe Joyce right in front of you, in small gloves, that's where I think that he could drown Alexander Usyk, and I'd back him to do so.
Right, Dev, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully we're going to get this press conference underway at some point. But yeah, once again, congratulations on the step up. Really enjoying your work with BT Sports, and thank you very much for talking to Lights Out, Dev.
Thanks for saying that, and shout out to your sponsor again.
Thank you very much.